BPO3 is supported by Timber King Sawmills. For more information on my 1220 CRZ mill, or one of many Foley hydraulic options, go to timberking.com. Today's objective is to make the majority of this wall look like this wall. This whole wall is pine that was taken down here and given to a friend who milled it and brought it back, brought some of it back unexpectedly as a thank you for giving him the logs. And I thought, oh great, let's put it up on the wall. Well, I love this. I really love having a solid wood wall just because it looked kind of cool, number one. And number two, it's really, really nice to be able to just, even if it doesn't really make sense, just pop a screw in the wall and hang something from it. I really like that. So I want to continue this all the way down now that we have our own sawmill and our own lumber. And the way that I put this up is, let me show you over here actually. So these beams, this is all the skeleton of the structure, and then you have the insulation and then the exterior siding, the exterior tin, just screwed on. Now, if you think of it that way, then all of the screws are the same length, and they're popping through these pieces of metal all the way along the shop. And you see I'm kind of sort of hanging stuff from those screws, but what I'm getting at is all of the screws are the same length, therefore the tips of the screws sticking into the shop are essentially all on the same plane. So what I did for this space was, or for that wall rather, is I put a 2x4 up against those screws, figured out where I needed to drill some holes, drilled a few holes through the top, screwed that 2x4 in from above, and that gave me a nice mounting surface for this board, the vertical boards, to rest up against and screw into. Now it's only secured to the structure up top. Down low, we have the same exact setup with those screws coming through this bottom plate, right? That's just, these two are just sitting here. Coming through this bottom plate, so we still have that same depth reference, but there's really no need whatsoever to anchor that to the concrete. There's no need to anchor that 2x4 to the wall. So I just set one up this way, resting up against those screws for a depth stop, and then the bottom of the vertical boards just get screwed to that. It's not anchored anywhere because, number one, it can't be pushed further because it's interfering with those screws, right? I mean, of course, if the forklift drives through it, but then we have bigger problems than that, okay? So there's no need to anchor that bottom board, and there's no risk of pulling backwards because it's all the way up against the wall, and there's no risk of hooking the back side. So the bottom is floating essentially, and then once all the vertical boards are in place, those were a little bit wavy and wonky. So to tie them all together, I used another piece, like a 6-inch wide piece, essentially as a wide chair rail. And initially that board right there was only there to kind of keep these vertical boards on the same plane. That's basically it. But what I found it's also really handy for is to have a nice reference horizontal surface to start mounting stuff to at a consistent height, like all my squares here, my sawtill over there. And I put it just a little bit higher than the height of my rolling cabinet, so stuff doesn't roll off the backside, which there's a lip on the cabinet anyway, but you get what I'm saying. So that's the structure of the wall. 2x4 on top, secured to the structure, that's it. 2x4 on bottom, floating, vertical boards screwed to the top and the bottom, and then one vertical board right here for a chair rail to kind of connect all the pieces. I'm not sure my starting point, to be honest with you. I guess I'll find out, or we will all find out here in just a few minutes, but I think it makes the most sense to start below the windows. So the windows sill is essentially the same thing, right? We've got a horizontal piece right here, the windows right there, sill, but on the bottom side, if I go underneath here, you can see that we still have the same screws and whatnot. So I don't want to screw through the top of the windowsill to get to that 2x4, the top 2x4. So I think because these are such small spans, really not going to have much interaction with the wood right there, but I don't want this big white blob. I do want to keep the visual theme going. I think what I'm going to do is hold the 2x4 in place and mark out the sides so I can screw through into the end grain of that 2x4. Not the strongest connection, but then again, it's not doing really anything there. It just needs to sit still, basically. I think that'll be just fine. One screw in either side, and then we continue the same theme of the vertical pieces and top and bottom and all that good stuff. So probably starting, yeah, I'm almost certain I have to start underneath the windows. At least do the adjacent, the windows first before the adjacent sides. Power keeps going out. That rain cloud has passed, and now we get the humidity. All right, I took inventory of all the cuts that I need to make for the 2x4s, and I've got 34 of them. Every single one of these is multiples, which means if you can set up a stop block, you're gonna save a lot of time. So, whipped together a quick miter saw station. Boy, do I miss my old miter saw station. I really do right now. Anywho, this is just one of my 1-bys off the mill, and then another one, it's got live edge on it. And I used a sticker right here to connect it to the saw and cut that right in half. So basically I've got 3 screws going from this sticker down into the 1-by, pushed down real tight, squished up into that corner the best I could, and then there's 2 screws on the back side here holding it in place. So this isn't attached to the bed, it's attached to the back fence. Same thing on this side, quick little fence, 3 screws, and then 2 screws back here. Both sides, so it doesn't matter which one I work with, both sides, these fence pieces are less in length than the most narrow piece that I have to cut, or the shortest piece that I have to cut. Therefore, I can use a speed square up against the back edge, clamp it down in place, and then I have a stop block to batch out all that I need. And I can do that from either side, so that's good. And both sides have enough length to make my longest cuts repeatable too, which is 80 something inches. Anyway, I just had to slap something together. I'm having some real miter saw station I miss you kind of moments.
They take a sled, you know, they curve wood, do that. What in the world? That is hilarious.
That's crazy.
Very much so.
That's crazy.
And that was just one that didn't have one on top of it, right?
No, this is part of the batch that I just started cutting up for yield instead of quality.
And now you're realizing quality matters. Look, this one's just as curved.
Yeah?
Maybe not quite as bad, but pretty bad. Yeah, this is quality low plumper.
No, this is a sled in the making. Wow.
Yeah, very much so.
I'll use these boards on the bottom.
Love it.
feel like every year on my birthday, Mom just like loads me up with clothes. Cause I do that, and I really like it. Like if you're in a mall and you have a mom saying, "Go pick out some clothes," I'd be like, I'd probably get like 20 pairs or 50.
Good morning to you. Sun's not quite out yet. 6:31 in the morning. But I've got to get rocking and rolling. I got 1/3 of this wall done yesterday. And most of that time was spent setting up and figuring out game plan and getting a few other things done here and there, and then getting distracted. So I would love to get the rest of this wall done today, because today's the last day that I have available to work on it. So wherever I finish, that's where I gotta pause until next week.
Look at that.
Alright, let's just document where we're at so far. Look at that pile of wood, how low that is. That's because I put all that wood up on the walls. The walls are completely done all the way to that corner, and I love it. This type of wall system is like embrace imperfections, right? Rustic, I guess you could say. And I like it. I like it a lot. I got my computer up against that wall for the office area and made sure that we had a nice clean path in and out of that door. We had the dog cages right there, but I wanted to move them for two reasons. Number one, so we do have a nice clean path. But number two, these guys shed. Don't you shed a lot, Mr. Nolly? Oh, yeah, I said your name, Mr. Nolly. They shed so much. So when I moved the cages off the wall, these fans are going, sorry about the noise. It was like, you know, like the dust bunnies. Well, this is like two full-grown dust gorillas. It was insane how much hair from the dogs was right there. So getting them off the wall is fantastic. Putting them in this orientation is fantastic because we can get clean all the way around them much more easily, much easier. And I slapped together a panel for the top, and this is just the same way as the walls are assembled, so it kind of sort of matches, but again, rustic, nothing more than that. And then after this weekend, after tonight, this is going to be completely empty, and that'll be a support table for laundry tasks. So that's cool. Got a nice organized layout here with the tables and whatnot, and you know, it just keeps getting a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Tonight, let's see, it is 5:45 p.m. and I have to have these Birdhouse kits done before the party tomorrow. So I got to turn all this into as many Birdhouse kits as I possibly can. I wanted to get them to where all the kids have to do is just use the workbench to nail them together. Speaking of use the workbench, Tyler has been using her workbench. That's fantastic. I don't care if it's woodworking or what. You're being creative and you're having fun and you're making stuff. Look what she did to my trash can. She took over my trash can.
You said that I could decorate it.
I said you could decorate it, absolutely. And boy did you.
I'm not finished though.
You're not finished?
No.
What do you got to put on it?
I have to put a
extra pom-poms on it. Okay.
Let's make it all pretty.
Okay, we're out of glue sticks for the glue gun though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get some more. All right, so that turned out to be a win. That workbench turned out to be a win. I got all my stuff on the wall. Not all my stuff, but I got a lot of stuff on the wall. This is my hammer section, and I want to get the album cover to who is it? MC Hammer, Hammer Time. I want to get that album cover and put it on there somewhere. Hammer Time. And then that sign is awesome. I like that. It's slow fade blinking. Of course the camera shutter speed is gonna make it flash. Got my levels up there, nice and organized. That section's done. And then this shelf is probably going to go over there eventually, but not right now, just because it's kind of there's room to walk here, but I want more room to walk right here. Empty bay. I'm calling these bays, cubbies, whatever they are, I don't know. Empty one to put whatever over here. I want to put all my camera gear right here. I want to have a dedicated area specific to camera gear. That's it. And yeah, I'm ready to work. I got to get these done. You know what we did wrong? You're not wearing shoes. You should always, at the very least, be wearing shoes working with machines and wood, because you drop it, that's going to hurt, right?
I'm in flip-flops.
Yeah.
Well, the pile keeps getting smaller and smaller, and that is mostly expected because of how chewed up these boards are. This is all ant damage, insect damage, and of course the knots. But something that I really wasn't expecting is all the checking that's going on. There's a lot of just cracks throughout this entire log. It's not just on the end grain, it's through the entire log. So you'll see stuff like this, where it's like, man, that's a nice, straight, perfectly beautiful board. But it's cracked all the way through. There's a couple more cracks that are going through here, and it's just, it's deceiving is what it is. I don't want to build a birdhouse, or I don't want the kids to build a birdhouse and then it crack apart on them. So as expected, there's a lot of waste. It's unfortunate because this stuff smells so good, but it's just all chewed up. I think that I have enough to do some birdhouses. I don't know how many. 8:43 p.m. We're down to a pile of charcuterie board type stuff. Both of these edges are not straight enough to put on the table saw, so I didn't mess with those. I don't want to straight line rip those unless I have to. A whole pile of thinner pieces, and while I could hoard all of these, I mean, there's going to be another cedar tree in my future, I know that for sure. So I got a friend of mine, Jeremy, coming in the morning to get as much of these offcuts as he wants. Everything else is going to go through the wood chipper for this size stuff. And then of course we've got the burn only bin going over there. Those are pieces that are mostly weird shaped, too small to go into the wood chipper. Like that can't go through the wood chipper, so that'll get burned, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. It's all offcuts. And then this is what we're left with, which these are, what was it, 49 inches was the length we needed, not including curve cuts. 49 inches, so you might as well say 50 inches is for one birdhouse. So some of these are really close to 4 foot, some of them are not. So if we average 2 of these being one birdhouse, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 birdhouses based on that super inaccurate rough math. And my goal was to have 20 birdhouse kits. So I think we're still on pace. I'm going to not use the miter saw for all my cross cuts. You know what? I don't know. Gosh, I don't know. That's not as accurate as I'd like to be. That's just kind of like rough cutting, you know? So I think I may use my crosscut sled here at the table saw. I don't know yet, but I guess you'll find out in the next clip. (10:13 p.m.) I am done. Party's not until 2 o'clock tomorrow, so I got plenty of time to clean up. But we have 20 fronts and backs, no hole drilled in it. I think I'm gonna let the kids do that tomorrow. I'm not too sure if that's a good decision or not. Anyway, 20 fronts, 20 backs, 20 pieces of the long side of the roof, 20 pieces of the short side of the roof, 20 sides, and 20 bottoms. Well, 19, because one of them I did the dry run on, and it's a birdhouse. It's a basic birdhouse, again with no hole drilled in the front, and I didn't glue this on top. Glue and brad nails. I'm gonna give the kids the option of using the nail gun tomorrow, supervised, or hammer and nails, and I'm guessing they will all pick that, and I hope they do, because that's super fast and that'll give them more time to paint them. So these are cedar. Slap some shellac on them or some type of outdoor finish, some type of oil, and it'll pop. It'll look fantastic. It'll look great, but it's also just going to turn brown in a little while outside, so who cares what the wood grain looks like. And if that's the case, we're going to let the kids paint them. If they want to paint them, they can paint them. But very easy, very simple design, but not too shabby. I think Tyler is going to, I hope Tyler is going to look back on her 7th birthday party and say, you know what? My mom and dad are pretty darn cool to stay up until 10:15 at night, the night before the party, knocking out a bunch of birdhouse parts. All that has to go. Oh, speaking of a bunch of birdhouse parts, the goal was to get 20 birdhouses. Now, I've already done one, so there's 19 right there, right? And we still have all of this. Still have all this good stock that I guess I can keep. Now, this is all ripped to 5.5 inches wide because I was unsure how much yield we were going to get, because these knots are pretty crazy. And then also this, like I said, the surface checking is just, it creeps up on you. This is... I don't know if this is the first time, honestly, working with this type of cedar. So I don't know if it's a cedar thing or if it's the particular tree we got kind of a thing. Anywho, we're keeping the top of this cart, a bunch of small offcuts. My friend's coming tomorrow. I think I already said that. He's going to get as much as he wants. And then we got to clean up. And I'm exhausted. Gosh, I love that sign. That is so cool. I love that sign. I really do. It's the little things in life. I can't even speak. Good night.
And they
He
said,
can remember stuff? Old men remember stuff?
well, she was saying that, like, his demeanor's very old manish, but he has a memory on him. Like, he just remembers really well. And I said, yeah. I said, that's okay, though. I said, Tyler's like that. I said, she's an old soul in a little body.